Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Remember Suikoden 3. We are playing as Geddoe, the captain of a band of mercenaries working for the Harmonian Southern Frontier Defense Force. We are heading into the grasslands to investigate rumors that the Firebringer, revolutionaries of old, or not of old, about 50 years ago, are rebuilding and resurging. And so to do that, we have to head to a village, but to do that, we first have to cut through the Yaza Plains. A nice big map like this is really enjoyable, and one thing that I appreciate for this game, and also that boar right there, is a lot trickier than you think, so I'm actually going to run away. One thing I appreciate for this game is that the spaces are really lush. This game has a nice color palette and a very nice feel to it. Okay, if it's just the boar, we'll fight. Hopefully the combination will take care of it. But what I appreciate is that this game has very lush colors and very vibrant towns where there's lots of characters, and it's a very vibrant world, and that helps you care about what's happening to it a bit more, because in order for you to really care about the story, and yeah, the combination attack takes care of the boar, because otherwise single attacks don't really cut it. A nice thing about this game is that you come to care about the spaces, which is important because the plot demands that you care about the spaces. It demands that you care about the grasslands. It demands that you care about Zexen, because if you don't care about those spaces, then you don't care about the people in those spaces, and you don't really care about the politics surrounding those spaces. So we are heading to the Great Hollow, which is where the lizard tribe lives. They're pretty cool. The first chapter in Geddoe's story is really about establishing that something isn't right with the narrative that we are supposed to accept in the Hugo and Chris chapters. So playing it here doesn't necessarily give us that effect because we're playing it first, but it will give us the effect in hindsight when we play through Hugo and Chris's chapters of sort of questioning the narrative that's going on. We're sort of exposed to a different story that seems to contradict the other two in certain ways. And that's really great. It's a really nice sort of narrative function for this sort of group of characters to fulfill. They don't have any big political stake in what's going on, especially what's going to happen, outside of the fact that Harmonia is concerned with the situation and they are working for Harmonia. Geddoe has a little bit more history than meets the eye. That's some of what we saw in his opening cutscene with the three men around the fire. But otherwise, it's very interesting to have a fairly disinterested party as one of the parties that you control, because it helps contextualize the conflict that we'll see between the grasslands and Zexen in a way that wouldn't otherwise exist. Basically, I'm really, really glad that this is the structure that they have. Two characters that are involved in the conflict in intimate ways, and then a character who has a connection to some of the maybe background elements that drive the conflict, but not immediate connections to what's going on. The lizard tribe is on edge. Geddoe very confidently is able to walk up and talk to them. He understands their manners. He is respectful of the lizard tribe, or the lizard clan. It implies a certain past on Geddoe's part, but it's also Geddoe's interactions with the Grasslanders, are these really holistic interactions where he respects the traditions of other peoples, He has sort of a background connection to the grasslands and all of these people, and it shows in his behavior. And it shows a way of interacting with people that Chris and her knights just don't get. There's like this huge disconnect between the people of the grasslands and the people of Zexen, which creates an amazing amount of frustration and tension between them. Whereas Geddoe is somebody who works nominally for the most powerful nation in the entire sort of world of Suikoden, and one that if we've engaged with the series, have sort of a weird feeling about. And yet he's the one who shows the most respect out of anybody. The one that, he's tied to probably the most expansionist, imperialist force in the world space, and yet he respects the boundaries of other people's sort of cultures and autonomies in a way that we are meant to find curious. But they are saying that a number of warriors were killed when they were hunting, and it looks like the wounds were inflicted by Zexen swords. And so there are lots of things going on here. They have prophets, but Sheba says if we only followed prophecy, we would never win a battle. So there's history, but a pragmatism to the history of the lizard tribe, the lizard clan. So even within the grasslands, there are multiple different clans. This is one of them. And so it's really nice because the grassland is also comprised of various different sort of groups. It's not completely homogenous, and I don't mean that just in terms of like these people are lizards, these people are ducks, these people ride bugs. It's like they all have sort of implicit social structures and beliefs that are unique, but contribute to a larger cultural whole that is the capital G grasslands, while still retaining a sense of individuality. The lizard people, the lizard clan, is different than Hugo's clan, the Karya clan. And so we need to talk to the chief, which lets us go through this really great space. The Great Hollow is, I enjoy it quite a bit. Just the implicit scale of the space, sort of carved out of a mountainside, is really, really cool. We're almost there. I want to go through that door. If anything else, I will always compliment the Suikoden games for making its groups of people feel like actual groups of people, which is something that I think other RPGs don't necessarily achieve. They sort of give you broad characterizations, and it doesn't quite feel as robust. Even something like Skies of Arcadia, a game with cultural depictions that I generally went to bat for and defended for their thematic purpose and the importance of the broadness in their portrayal, that can't compare to sort of the more not overly detailed, right, but the more intricate way in which this game and other games of the series approaches cultural spaces. I understand the differences between the Lizard clan compared to the Karya clan, compared to Zexen, compared to Harmonia, compared to all these other spaces within the game world, and that's because over the course of the series, and maybe even just this game, there's a nice sense of defining the characteristics of these groups of people. Geddoe, once again, seeming to have a little bit more information and some connections to people that you wouldn't expect from a simple mercenary. It's just really cool stuff. It's very enjoyable. And the side characters are enjoyable too. Ace and Joker always talking. These are characters who, as I pointed out before, don't have a lot of investment in the conflict that is to come, but are eventually going to be drawn into it. You know? And we'll sort of start with this as our base of operations. And we'll just explore the space for a minute. One thing that is, it's not annoying, but it is different, is I showed you before how the skill points are there. I can't just spend the skill points. I need to find trainers, and then people level up independent of their skills. So I would like to find maybe someone who I could sort of train my people with. This is a store. Let's see what they have. Some medicine would be good to get. But you can also just buy items, food, things like that. Actually, I think I'll hold off. I'm sort of just doing this for the sake of exploring the space, which is fine. Because again, these are spaces that we sort of want to care about, and you know, here's more people. I was gonna say, I think this is Dupa. And also, so we hear about characters that we will either play as or have played as from other people at different points of time. So here, Dupa is talking about Chris. Chris interesting because of the gender politics at play, where she is both a soldier and a woman, and that leads some people to underestimate her in unfortunate ways, but she sort of rises above that. By just working hard and being a general badass. Most of the time you can go to trainers here and we can upgrade. So let's upgrade Geddoe's accuracy. And next time we will upgrade his defense. Repel is something I would like to do, but I don't have enough, so we'll use accuracy here. The only thing I do not like about this process is that this process can be a little slow. And it would be nice to be able to maybe do this out in the field, but I have no particular qualms about maybe having to go to a skill trainer. It makes progression feel a little bit more like your characters are actually learning something, as opposed to just sort of you know, gaining buffs or gaining levels. And it demands that you engage with NPCs, so that's always valuable. I find that systems, specifically progression systems that demand that you interact with trainers or things like that, are a good way of drawing a connection to a game space. You know, if I want to learn how to become a thief in Planescape, I need to talk to somebody who can teach me how to be a thief. I can't just magically learn how to be a thief. If I want to learn some sword skills, I have to find a member of the lizard tribe who can sort of train me and teach me things. And that demands that I engage with the people in the RPG. And RPGs are, if nothing else, you know, sort of larger simulations where we need to we need to care about the spaces. Like I said, we want to care about the spaces, and we want to care about the people in those spaces. So a skill trainer is just one way of doing that. Do I remember what I'm supposed to do? Oh, that's right. If it's blinking, I go to it. I'm fairly certain. Or not? I don't know. I think I can head to the Karia village if I head this way. So we will do that. I am somebody who hasn't played this game in quite some time, so hopefully I won't make a complete fool of myself. The nice thing about starting off and playing Geddoe's chapter is that the characters are very strong, very competent. This is similar in Chris's chapter. This is true as well, because you'll be playing as trained soldiers. Here we're playing as capable mercenaries. And so if you want to sort of start off the game and have access to characters with higher skills and sort of learn things with by having characters that have sort of higher skill thresholds and maybe boss fights that demand a little bit more from the player because they have those increased stats, this is as good of a group to engage with as any. Gotta be honest, this boar, well, there's wild boar, and then there is one called like Peggy or Porky or something. That's the one that's sort of more dangerous. I don't like that one very much. Hopefully we'll get to the Karia village and we'll go from there. But you can see the boar is tricky, and you can only use combination attacks so often, perhaps even once per sort of engagement. It sort of changes from game to game. Also, my recollection is just not what it used to be. It's been a long time since I've sort of played this game. But here, just this wide shot of the rolling plains and getting to run through it, like, this is very pretty. And I appreciate that because it makes me appreciate the space. Granted, I then go into the space and I get attacked by bunnies that are carrying hatchets, but you know, you take the good with the bad. So gorgeous view, dangerous enemies. You want to pet them, but they also want to hack your limbs off, which is no good. But this is a series that, for as serious as it can get, with some of its narrative and examination of politics and the nature of power, things like that, still has a decent sense of humor about it, which is very nice. So we want to go. What? Game. I can't go anywhere else. So I have sent us on a wild goose chase. So, what I will do is I will cut here, and we are back at the Great Hollow. Let us talk to Dupa? Sheba. I forget what we're supposed to do here for a moment, so, let's talk to folks and explore, maybe find the inn. Stay at the inn for the night, I think might be the thing we actually need to do. Because I actually, I'm forgetting, my mind, so there's a manga based off of this game, and in the manga, I believe Geddoe and the mercenaries show right up at Karia village. They don't have any of the layover here in the Great Hollow. So, maybe that's what's confusing me. You can see here, though, here's a member of the Duck Clan. They are ducks. They're really cool. So here, like anything, any one of your weapons can be modified to a certain level, so you don't buy different weapons, you just upgrade them, right? So if I want to upgrade Geddoe's weapon, for instance, bang bang, clunk bang, and voila. It's now, it was called crow, now it is geese, right? And so again, it's that engagement with characters in the space that makes the spaces more valuable. So let us move over here. Where's the inn? Ah, here we go. What is going on? There's an intruder. So we are going to sort of bear witness to the first of some tricky goings-on in the grasslands. There's an intruder? Please, we don't have to listen to them, right? Who is this intruder? We're going to find out. So actually, this might go a little bit over that 30-minute mark that we're trying to stay with. They are confused. Apparently, they think that we are the intruders. Very foolish of them. But we are capable mercenaries, and so we'll sort of deal with everything as we have to. These are tough enemies. Lizard people. The lizard. I say lizard people as if it's part of the conspiracy. No, the lizard tribe. They're tough enemies, but they are not insurmountable enemies by any stretch of the imagination. That noted, let's see what we have for runes here. Ripple rune is poison. Ishin is turbulence, and then Joker also has a fire rune, but fire runes are dangerous because fire runes actually do friendly, not so friendly fire, really. They do fire damage, so we want to be very careful with them. And honestly, the best thing for us to do right now is heal, because if you die in this game, you go back to wherever your last save was. There's no auto-saving. You can't just jump right back into the battle. It's one of the only real major downsides in this game, is that you have to jump back to where you were. So that's probably going to knock Jacques right out, which is a bummer. But it doesn't really matter, apparently, so I might have wasted some of those healing items. But Sheba's going to come in and sort of help us out. And they're very sorry. They're very sorry that they knocked Jacques unconscious. But we are going to proceed and at least see what the big craziness is, and go from there. Everyone's on edge. An intruder penetrated the inner sanctum. This is an act of war against our clan. We must not let him get away. Geddoe says that they will help. And so we move forward. Sheba has joined our party. And that's fine. We'll put him in the same formation as Jacques. And I think the battle actually ended early because Geddoe got knocked unconscious. We have healing items to use, so we are going to obviously use them. And you can assign these items to people in the party, so you can't just use items from your bag. You have to make sure people are equipped with the items that they're going to use in battle, which makes the items feel like we're talking about this notion of existing worlds and things like that. But this is another thing that makes the world feel more existent, is that, you know, when I purchase items from a shop owner, I actually have to carry those items into battle. It's a small thing, but it certainly is a thing that impresses a certain vague sense of verisimilitude to the game space. I can't just reach into a never-ending bag of potions to heal myself. I sort of have to pre-plan and figure out what's going on ahead of time. Here we're just going to fight these giant slug things because having a little bit more combat in the video is always fun. Soul slugs. They are gross. But I was going to say Shiba should hit very hard. Soul slugs, as you know, breathing fire. You know, we've all encountered soul slugs in our backyard. Very dangerous. But that should take them out right here. When Suikoden 4 got rid of the 6-party member system, people got very, very upset. It actually only allows 4 members. It's a very different thing. So here we have something very strange going on. This is our first introduction, so it would seem, to Chris, the character that we will play as when we are playing as the Zexim perspective of things. So this is Chris. Apparently just slaughtering members of the Lizard Clan. Of course, our observation of events here are going to be called into question when we see what's going on. In Chris's chapter, you know, sort of what is or isn't the real situation. And I like that. I like that very, very much. So this seems very dramatic. You know, and this is a very, very interesting way to play through the game and encounter one of the characters that you are going to play as. Is to encounter them and sort of see like, oh, well, I guess she just attacked these people. But there's more that's going on in any point of the story than sort of meets the eye. Ace is doing a good job dodging. But it's a little rough, so we want to use some medicine on Ace and go from there. Jacques as well, we'll use some, we'll actually use the item from Shiba because Shiba won't stay in our party. If you have items, you can actually split them between both party members, but Jacques is the only one who really needs it. So, like I've said, fairly comprehensible battle system. This is an interesting sort of near end of the episode. We should take note, too, that Chris is using powerful magic during this fight. And that is sort of another thing that we're going to want to call into question as we head into her chapters, right? We want to sit back here and say, you know, well, we saw Chris fight and she used magic, but does that add up to everything that we have when we're playing as Chris? You know, I'm not hiding much of the plot here by saying that this is sort of a deception, that we don't understand exactly what's happening yet. But, you know, we've seen Chris attack the Lizard Clan. You know? And yet this action is going to be fundamentally at odds with what we will understand to be Chris's like actual behaviors. And even Geddoe notices it. This isn't like the Knights of Zexin, you know? There's more going on here than we can sort of imagine. The manga actually gets rid of this encounter entirely in order to streamline things. I'm not going to constantly refer to the manga, but it is interesting, and it's actually, I think, a very streamlined look at the plot. So if this plot grasps you, and for whatever reason we don't decide to go past the 3 character sort of setup chapters, look into it. It's definitely worth a read. But if this is a game that you want to see me play through, I can do that. It will take a certain amount of time, but I can certainly do it. I just need to make sure that the interest is there. Jacques is noting that the tracks for the knights were too light, so there's more going on, again, than meets the eye. And so there is a big commotion happening in the village, and we need to go see what it is, but we will find out what that commotion is in the next segment. Thank you very much for watching. I love this game. It's really fun to play through right now. I love you very much. So have a good day / night / whatever, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.